Join me as I dive into the story of how Jesus performed a miracle for a blind man, and I'll be sharing what it really means for us today. There's a story in the Bible that has always left me in awe, a story that showcases the incredible power of Jesus and the depth of his compassion for humanity. It's the story of a blind man who received his sight, and it's a miracle that has been resonating with people for centuries. Imagine living in a world where you can't see the beauty of nature, the faces of your loved ones, or the simplest things like the sun rising over the horizon. This was the reality of a blind man who lived in a society where disability was often seen as a curse, where people with disabilities were marginalized and stigmatized. He had to rely on others for everything, from simply getting around to finding food and shelter. His days were filled with darkness, both physically and emotionally. He had to navigate through the streets, careful not to bump into things, and hope that people would be kind enough to guide him. And despite all this, he held on to hope. Hope that one day his life would change, that one day he would be able to see. In those times, blindness was not only a physical disability, but also a social outcast. People would often view them as cursed by God, and they were treated like second-class citizens. It's hard to imagine the kind of pain and isolation this man must have felt. The story takes place in the ancient town of Bethsaida, where Jesus and his disciples had just arrived. The news of Jesus' miracles had spread like wildfire, and people were curious to see if he was a real deal. They brought the blind man to Jesus, begging him to heal him. As Jesus was about to heal the blind man, he spat on the ground, made some mud, and applied it to the man's eyes. This might seem weird to us today, but in those times, saliva was seen as having healing properties. Then, Jesus told the man to go wash his eyes in the pool of Siloam. The atmosphere must have been electric as the man made his way to the pool, his heart racing with anticipation. He washed his eyes, and as the cool water touched his face, something miraculous happened. Light began to flood his eyes, and suddenly he could see. The world around him was no longer dark and blurry, but vibrant and full of color. The blind man's reaction must have been overwhelming. He could see the faces of his loved ones, the beauty of nature and the kindness of strangers. He must have felt like he was reborn, like he had been given a new lease on life. As the news of the miracle spread, people were amazed, some even questioning if this was really the same blind man they had known. The Pharisees, who were always looking for ways to discredit Jesus, began to investigate the miracle, trying to find some sort of loopholes or explanations. But the blind man's testimony was clear. Jesus had healed him, and he could see. This miracle is more than just a spectacular display of Jesus' power. It's a testament to his love and compassion for humanity. It's a reminder that God is not just some distant figure, but a loving Father who cares deeply for each and every one of us. So what does this miracle mean for us today? It means that no matter what challenges we're facing, no matter how dark our circumstances may seem, we can always hold on to hope. We can always trust that God is working in our lives, even when we can't see what's ahead. Thanks for watching, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Have you ever experienced a miracle in your life? Share your story with us. And if you want to explore more biblical stories, be sure to check out our channel for more videos.